Hey guys, it is Carly here bringing you your Tuesday review on body bags, and today I am going to talk about a movie that I watched about a week ago, but I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I was gonna maybe review it last week, but I decided against it for whatever reason. I just wasn't feeling it, but I figured it's still fresh in my memory, so I'll just go ahead and talk about it, and that is Offspring from the year 2009. This is kind of interesting because this film is the first movie in the, I guess a duo of movies, because it is the first movie, and then the movie The Woman from 2011, I believe, is the second movie, which was, of course, directed by Lucky McKee, and for a while I thought this was like a prequel that came out after The Woman did, and turns out this is the first movie. It's just not as well known as that movie, and also, you know, this is based off a Jack Ketchum novel, and I think there's actually a first book that came before this one. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, I've never read his books, but I think there's actually a book that is even before this one, but for some reason there's no movie to it, but there is a movie to this one, and then there is a sequel to this one that I don't think is based off a book, so it's kind of a confusing thing, and also the sequel was nothing like this movie, so that was just something that kind of interested me. But anyway, this movie Offspring is about this feral family who, you know, they eat flesh, they, you know, live in the woods, they're human, but they live in the woods, they don't speak English, they kind of talk in like these grunts, like their own made-up language, which you get subtitles for in the movie, which is kind of cool and kind of creepy. And they, I guess previously, they're just survivors of an attack on their family where the police or sheriffs or whatever of the town tried to get rid of them about a decade ago, and now this family has been hiding out in the woods, and they are back, and they are still trying to, you know, seek out flesh and new people for their gathering or family or whatever you want to call it. So they start to prey on this family, this unsuspected family. They're, you know, they're in the woods, and then they come out and terrorize this family, kidnap some of the members of the family, and the family is trying to survive in the situation. So, you know, that's the story here. Overall, like, start out, like, I was kind of into it. I thought it was interesting enough, and I wanted to see what was going on. I like how you have the woman character in here who reprises her role in the sequel. She's kind of the leader, and I think she has a good look to her. She's kind of scary and demanding. So I like that character. Then you also have these like little boy characters, you know, the feral characters, and they're all right too. I think they're all pretty scary and menacing, because it's kind of creepy that these are human beings technically, but they are acting like animals. That's just a scary concept, because they are not monsters. They are actually human, and they're acting in this crazy, absurd way. So I thought that was kind of scary about it. But when it comes to the actual characters, like the family that's being terrorized, I don't feel like you get a huge amount of character development in this where you actually care for what's happening to them, and that was definitely my main problem with this film, is that I just did not care about the family. You know, you have like a woman who comes to visit, I forget if it's a friend or a sister or whatever, and then she has an ex-husband who is coming up to see her, even though she has like a restraining order against him because I believe he was abusive, and I feel like that plot is kind of almost pointless. Even though the husband does have a part in this, it's almost just like silly and doesn't really develop into much of anything by the end. And then you know, you also have the woman's son, and then the other family has like a baby, and the son in this just kind of got on my nerves. I don't know, he doesn't say too much, but at the same time there's just something about him that I really did not care for, and I kind of just felt that way about all the characters, really. I feel like I could care for them, but I feel like they were not developed properly. They start to try to develop them, but it just kind of gets to the craziness too fast, I guess, where the people in the woods come out and get to them. I feel like they get to that part a little too quickly, and you don't really learn enough about the family besides some, little history things, but they're just not, I guess, developed. That would be the word for it. But so that is my main problem here, because after that, the family goes, or some of them are killed, and then some of them are kidnapped by the Farrell family, and they are trying to survive in this weird situation. They're kind of in this like cave sort of area, and the people in there are just doing weird things. You don't understand what they're saying, so it's like chaotic and scary because they don't know what to do or what the people are going to do to them. And I don't know, just at that point I was just kind of taken out of it. I didn't really care all that much, like I said, and I didn't have any emotional attachments, and I just really did not care for it. I do not care for really this whole feral concept in general, I find, because this movie reminded me a lot of a movie that I watched recently that came in the horror pack called Plank Face, which, that came out after this movie, so I can't say this reminds me of that, but it's the same concept where you have people who kidnap some dude and they're feral and they're trying to teach him to be animalistic as well. So, same concept. It just doesn't really do it for me. It's just a little weird and not entertaining for me to watch. So, that's just me though. Some people might enjoy that, but for me, I just didn't care for it. And also the fact that I did not care about the characters enough really hurt this film for me as well. This is definitely not one that I would recommend, really. At first, I thought I was going to really enjoy it, but by the end, I was just kind of bored with it and waiting for it to end, so don't really recommend this. I do recommend The Woman, though. It is nothing like this movie because it is kind of the reverse, I guess, when you think about it, because a human family takes in the woman, and she is kidnapped by them, so it's definitely a reversed concept, and it is definitely a weird film, but I definitely recommend The Woman over this movie. I can see why this movie is not as wildly talked about as that one is. So for this one, I just gave it an average 5 out of 10. Definitely not my cup of tea. Some people might see it different, but for the most part, I've heard other people say it's not anything too great. So, and like I said, I haven't really read the books or anything, so I can't really comment on that, but thank you guys for joining me for this Tuesday review, and I will see you next Tuesday.